though we call it as a panel discussion, but actually it's a very candid talk between myself and Shaik, right? So just enjoy it. And we definitely will open it up to any questions. I have Mr. Shaik and a little bit about himself. Mr. Shaik J. Ahmed, he's a Vice President, Head of Information, Security, Risk and Governance, Mashreq Bank. Mr. Shaik has built cybersecurity team from 0 to 200 plus associates, delivering next-gen cyber support to clients and partners, and expanding the footprint of a multi-million dollar practice. He's got a solid record and experience in consistency delivering client expectations while designing and executing state-of-the-art cybersecurity solutions to support business and leadership strategy. And he spans close to 25 plus years of experience, or probably 30 plus, as I talked to him a little bit before the event. Some of the areas in which he's expert in definitely is a cyber resilience, cyber threat management, security operations, cloud security and data center security, and so on. So welcome, Mr. Shaik.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajita.
So, Mr. Shaik, before we start the conversation, I have a bit of a data, and I was like kind of looking through the stats, specifically in India, that how we are placed in terms of our emerging technology footprint. So, what I see here is that India has over 1.2 billion mobile phone users and around 600 million plus smartphone users. And if you really look at the data from 2018, where we were around 36% of the households that had a smartphone, we are today standing at 78%, and this is data as of 2022. So this is just setting a context of where we are going, right? How big the technology transformation has hit us. The percentage of household with smartphone as well as internet connectivity has boomed up to 88% plus. The average mobile usage, any guesses per hour, how much in hours, how much it will be? How many hours of mobile usage in a day? Audience? Someone says 40. All right, it's around 4.5 hours per day.
It's huge actually compared to the
and in the last 3
time
years,
we get for other things actually.
And in the last 3 years, it has become as an average 4.7. And any guesses who are the majority users? More than 83% of the users of smartphone today are teenagers between the age group of 10 to 14. There we are, and they obviously use it for various apps, gaming and learning and so on. Yeah. So this is something that I figured out as a major transformation that has hit us. Any thoughts around it?
Yeah, thank you, Rajita. I think that's a great information. And first of all, I wanted to extend my great, thanks and wishes for the Elets organization for organizing such a successful event. And on top of it, I'm thankful to Elets management for inviting me for this session. Whatever we discuss here, completely personal opinions. Nothing related to either my profession or my organization where I belong to right now. And I think the information which you shared is very eye-opening. And earlier, before, it is before COVID and after COVID kind of a situation. See, before COVID, it used to be the mobile or any digital transformation needed to be on the need basis. But now the need has driven us to go towards the digital transformation and adopt the new technologies and the ways and means of using the technology for our daily life actually. And we all know we do not want to make a purchase or purchasing decision over the laptop anymore. We use our phone for the everything A to Z, including the banking, including the the e-commerce and everything. Even for our travel also, we try to use the convenience of mobile phone. So that's the major leap the COVID has brought into our lives actually. So as part of the if you discuss about the generation, I firmly believe that younger generation is more prone on convenience. They want the convenience and the adaptability of technology, and that's why I believe like the younger generation is like teenagers are more into the um, percentage of users onto the mobile technology as you mentioned. And if we see the why the other generation, like I mentioned, the elders, I shall say, or the grown-ups are not more into the technologies. Like they believe more onto the security or like more onto the and not so part of the game due to two things. One is not understanding the technology clearly, or like unable to understand or learn the technologies. Second thing is due to security also. That's the one reason actually. So that's why like we see the technology generation, the technology kids are more into the usage of mobile technology or mobile phones actually.
Oh, excellent,
Yeah.
excellent, and great observations there. So that brings me to another question that I have: that how do you think the user perception? I mean, we talked about security on one side and the user experience on the other side. That how do you think that particular experience is today exhibited by the end user? Right? We talk about multi-factor authentication. We talk about OTPs. We talk about even password, which are getting stronger, and so on. Right? So my question to you formally is that how do you think the user perception of security and convenience, right? These are like, I would say, the two ends of a pole though. In the BFSI sector, how have they changed? And are customers more inclined to trade off convenience for much more enhanced security, or is it still, you see there is a push where people are looking for simplification and letting things go? I mean, we at the back of it, we definitely have our fraud data, which is available to us. I'm not getting those figures in, which is on the rise. Yeah.
Is something related to my domain, and is a very valid question actually. So see, the technology brings the convenience. There is no doubt in it. And parallelly, technology also sometimes opens the gates of security, so that like the lot many vulnerabilities are like opened up for the malicious elements to get into. But like is kind of a seesaw where you have the security and convenience making the rounds actually. So you asked me about the user opinion or the like on the how they are choosing actually. So if you see what is the user perception, it depends upon the age. It depends upon like what generation we are talking about. If it's, I'm taking back this response from the earlier one, so is equally like related here also. So users, all of us knows like what is the breaches happening due to new age technologies and the new age scams are coming up. We all know like the earlier scams of like wishing scams, somebody calling and asking us that like please share the OTP, are the days gone actually. Are the days gone? Everyone is aware about what happens if we share the OTP and all. The awareness quotient has uh, uh, increased in all the generations. But like there are new means of frauds already came up, and like with even if you touch a picture in your WhatsApp forward by somebody, you will get some small app installed onto your mobile, and somebody can take control of your entire device. And even somebody shares a link to like I mean say do a wallet transaction, naturally like they can take it. There are ways and means to take your mobile into the control and do some fraud onto your wallets actually, or even onto your banking accounts. So similarly here again the younger generation wants the convenience of using the banking technologies, and the elder generation wants the security. And since like the younger generation, as per one survey, like I'm quoting and I'm quoting here from a analyst forum, 80% of the younger generation wants the convenience and security both. It's not like only convenience. So they are demanding like I do represent a bank, and even like many of us here are from banks.
I think most of them are technology natives.
Absolutely.
So for them, if it is part of their DNA, it's got to be simple.
Absolutely, very true. So here, so everyone wants convenience, and also like I mean, so the user experience, though it takes the lead. We have the responsibility to secure the banking transactions of our users also, and from a regulatory perspective also, we have the banks have the responsibility, and customers are demanding. Customers knows that like banks has the responsibility to secure the transactions. So is not only providing the user experience and the user convenience to the customers, but also it becomes the responsibility of the institutions to provide the take the responsibility of the transaction, the security of their transactions. So uh, as a conclusion, younger generation, I firmly believe they are looking out for a convenience and the ease of transactions and a good user experience. And we all even we like where we have the good experience while handling the banking processes through our mobile or through our laptop, hassle-free experience. But like at the same time, none of us wants to compromise on the security also. We do not want to open the gates. But like at the same time, as a conclusion, elder generation still wants to go back to the earlier processes of physical processes, in-person processes, where they have more security, more control over their processes. Since like when they do a digital transaction, I'm again quoting the Analyst Forum survey. They firmly believe the people are above 40 and above. The generation feels that they don't have any control after they do a transaction.
No, that's absolutely truly. And you're talking about 40 plus, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about like 75 plus.
Yep.
My dad never remembers his passwords.
Yep. They say that like they are completely vulnerable. They
Yeah.
said like my money is not in my control.
Yeah.
You kept it in a wallet and like you are doing it transaction from a wallet. So somebody shares the scanner and I do the scanning and money is not in my control.
Yes.
It's completely on Bhagwan Bharose.
No, that's a very vulnerable.
Absolutely,
sector.
absolutely. So they are still sticking back to those earlier days where they control their transactions and they have a complete freedom of driving their own transaction actually. Yeah.
So when we talk about Mr. Shaik about different models, right, of security and identity management per se, there are so many available in the market, right? There are centralized model, decentralized models. They can be based on location. Today, an app sometimes asks you that you want to allow your location to be shared and so on. So I think devices as such are gathering a lot of data by virtue of you moving. There are so many applications which track your location as in where you are and so on. So it's not sometimes relevant to again ask a person that which country or city you are from. So I think we are in a mix or a hybrid format. We are not truly moved to the other side yet, but that's where the I think motion is. So when we talk about a little bit on the decentralization identity system, you talked about older generation wanting to have all the control and younger, just moving on more towards convenience and security going hand in hand. So for decentralized, digital identity systems, they typically promise more control and privacy for the users. I'm talking about the end user here. How viable do you see these approaches for the BFSI sector in the near future? And specifically, any challenges and opportunities, which you think they present to us?
Yeah, this is a very interesting one. Actually, very close to my heart. Actually, see, there was a mad rush to centralize the identities around 2 to 3 years back. Like every organization wanted to have the seamless experience of having a single identity across every process and the the platforms. Actually, now again, when we see having a single identity as the weaker link into the system, which once broken, so entire system will get compromised. I meant to say it will open the lot many doors for the breaches actually. So that's why again the organizations are looking from a security perspective to have the decentralization at the identity level. Since we all know multiple identities once upon a time became a pain for the technology teams inside the organizations actually. And now when we completely moved into the seamless identities and single identity across all the platforms again, so there is we are into a generation where trying to use blockchain and the registers as the backbone for recognizing the identities and like I mean say intelligence-based, artificial intelligence-based systems to combat back the like threats generated with the new age like I mean say the developments coming into the frauds and the scams like scam GPTs also came now, fraud GPTs also there, bomb GPTs are already there. There are like I mean the technology is developing in a systematic pace in the defender side from like I mean the institutions, but like technology is seamlessly and rapidly growing in the other side, malicious side actually. So to fight those things, we also need to use the similar like I mean ways and means to have like control over the identities actually. And I firmly believe like a decentralization into the identities with the use of blockchain and the registers, and parallelly having like I mean, the intelligence based pattern tracking mechanisms, like a user and entity based behavior tracking mechanisms will only help actually to identify the gaps and like I mean, the, rightly recognize the incidents inside the organization.
Yeah, very well articulated, and that brings me to another connecting question when we talk about a little bit on the data protection and how some of the technologies on AI ML, which are definitely working on predictive models and just reading through the customer behavior and making things easier and simpler in some ways. For example, you've ordered something, they can tell you 5 other things that others who ordered this are looking at, and so on. So somewhere, and passwords are getting stronger. The systems tell us that use this instead of this, and it tells you the strength of your password and so on. So my question is around the AI ML usage so far in terms of improving the user experience. How do you see these technologies, which can be used both ways, good or bad? How can they be helpful?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. See, is a sharp at the both sides of the sword actually. Artificial intelligence and the system-based learnings can be adapted to secure the like I would say the from a data privacy and protection perspective, but also can be used for like enhancing the experience of the users actually. But the only challenge is these systems when generating a intelligent model inside any organization will collect lot of data. So the existing rules, existing privacy laws across various geographies, not only India, the one latest came, multiple other geographies, including the PSD2 laws in European region and the GDPR laws in the again in the European region, especially the banking sector. So will restrict you in collecting multiple entities from the user from a data perspective. So that keeps you at a like I mean say the like responsive position from a regulatory angle, answering to the regulator why we collected those data. But this intelligence like I mean say the AI based platforms to create a intelligent model, they require the additional data from the users actually. So this will not only help the organizations to enhance the future features into the products actually, to make the users more savvy and have the convenience. Like for example, if I collect only what you need right now, may not help me in understanding you better and creating a product which helps you address your requirements in future. But like for that, like I need to know a bit more about you to like I'm said, knowing more about you is addressing your needs more actually. So that's where the organizations try gathering a bit more of the data about the users to help them answer their requirements well actually into the n+2 or n+3 model. So but like as per like I mean say this contradicts with the privacy laws, this contradicts with the data security regulations across the globe actually. So we need to again have a balance where we either can take the consent from the users, or like I mean say the address or clearly state why we are collecting this data and how we are going to handle this data and how we are going to discard this data after the stipulated usage actually.
Great. I think most of us are just sinking in. There's clearly a lot of information.
Between the dinner and...
Yeah. And I will just open it up to audience. Any questions or any observations that you have?
My name is Sandesh. What is Reserve Bank of India and your bank gold reserve policy?
Still, I cannot hear. Maybe some echo is coming. I can hear only up to your name.
Maybe you can come here and without a mic it may be better. I think there's a little bit of echo in the room.
There's some echo coming up actually.
My name is Sandesh. What is Reserve Bank of India and your bank gold reserve policy?
Resolve time of India.
And your bank.
Reserve Bank of
Reserve
India
Bank.
And your bank, what is the gold reserve policy?
Gold reserve. Okay, let me take this question. Mr. Sandesh, I'm a security practitioner into a banking domain. I really don't have any idea about gold reserves. Either Reserve Bank of India holds or my bank holds actually. If that is the question you are asking, so I'm the wrong person to answer that one from a compliance perspective and from a knowledge perspective also. I don't have any idea about the gold reserves, how much Reserve Bank of India holds actually. Maybe like I shall ask ChatGPT.
Maybe we can take some security related questions or
Sure.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm
Sure.
Ajit Kumar from Federal Bank. So,
Sure.
With the new digital personal data protection law, see, one of the references what you were making, the use of mobile phones, especially among the youngsters. So, one of the provisions says that any minor who is using even a mobile device will require a consent from the parent. So my question is that are there how is the maybe technology can actually manage this? The question is that maybe when people are or the youngst people of that age group 10 to 14 what was mentioned are using say many of the apps. So typically on a mobile, there could be say maybe 20 or 30 apps. So on each and every one, if you require a parental consent, say it is going to be a real challenge. Are there any ways where, I would like to know what is your thinking on how exactly digital technologies can tackle this type of a problem?
Sure, sir. Can I take this one? Thank you. It's a very responsible point you brought in, actually, Ajit ji. In fact, around COVID, when, like I mean, say before COVID, like I'm a father of two kids. In the time of COVID, like when the classes went online, so we needed to give the laptops and the mobile phones to kids actually. That time there used to be a, like I mean, say the thought in our minds actually, what kids are doing on the internet actually, other than the classes, since like there is no control either from the school or from a home actually. Then one of my friend, like I mean, say, who is into security and who is a coder, he developed a Android version, which completely, like I mean, say, you install it on your kid's phone, it will give you the statistics on your mobile, like how many pages, what URLs, what websites the kid has browsed actually, and how much time they spend onto the particular app, like a school learning app or a tuition learning app kind of a thing. So, from a consent perspective, knowing the Indian, like I mean, say, society, I don't think kids are looking for to have our consent to use technology, and maybe like it is vice versa now. And though the data protection laws came up very stringently in this aspect, which you rightly mentioned, but I foresee a lot many amendments are going to come in areas where the laws are very open actually. Since like the point which you raised is open-ended actually. There is no way a parent can consent. For example, you just mentioned 20 to 30 apps, but like as per my understanding, each phone will have around 100 apps actually. I'm talking about you and me, where we require where we have the minimal requirement. But if you go to kids' phones, they will have 300, 400 apps on an average actually. So I don't think like is possible. as a gateway, even if you install something, a layer app to control the devices of our kids, I'm very sure they will have ways and means to break them actually. And I don't think like this part of the law is going to stay. Maybe it will come up with a amendment very soon actually.
One related observation. In our bank, what we do is maybe as of now, even minor accounts, if the age is above 10, we permit that, even without a parental consent. So that's why we were thinking. Now, in this act, it says up to 18. 18 years is what is taken as the minor.
Absolutely,
thing.
yes.
So even banks will find it extremely difficult to get a formal parental consent.
Absolutely. Since like that became a statutory, just that stayed as just a statutory requirement until now. I think though banks requires parental consent for opening the accounts and handling the accounts, but like very rarely do we have control over them actually. And maybe this law also will become just a statutory requirement. Most probably, or otherwise, like the authorities need to rethink and reduce the age of minors. Sure, thank you very much.
I think we are just about time. Actually, we are already time's up and just standing in between you and the lunch. So I'll say thank you to you, Mr. Shaik, and
Thank you,
thanks
Rajita.
to the lovely audience for being so patient and keeping the session interactive. Thank you so much.
Thank you all the audience for your patience.